When all people of the world love, then the strong will not overpower the weak, the many will not oppress the few, the wealthy will not mock the poor, the honored will not disdain the humble, the cunning will not deceive the simple. We bid you welcome, believe, or expect you to think in a certain way, but only that you try to live a kindly, helpful life with the dignity proper to a human being. Welcome all who believe that religion is wider than any sect and deeper than any set of opinions. Welcome all who might find in our friendship strength and encouragement for daily living. Good morning and welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Farmington. My name is Linda Brown and I've been a member of UUCF. It says here how long it's been, and I was trying to think of that this morning. It's been over 28 years that I've been here. And I came, as many do, with young children who needed some help in more religious, liberal religious thinking. But they're long gone and stayed for the wonderful community that this is. This morning, we are very fortunate to have two guest speakers that, I'm really looking forward to this. They're Keisa Davis and Charmin Archer, with us from the Heidelberg Arts Leadership Academy. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later in the service. I'd like to extend a special welcome to any visitors today. If you're new here, we have a coffee hour after service downstairs, and one of the ushers can point you to the way. When in the meeting house, we are observing COVID procedure and precautions and wearing masks regardless of vaccination status, unless you're up here speaking. Religious education classes are being held in the RE classrooms downstairs during the service, and I don't see any kids here, so you don't need to have an usher direct you. Joys and sorrows will be shared later in the service. You can come to the microphone at that point. Also, there are blue cards in the pews that you can fill out and hand to an usher. And in your order of service, there is a phone number that you can text to if you like, and I'll read that at that time. Please take a moment to silence your phones if you haven't already. And then please join me in stating our mission. We seek answers everywhere, include everyone, and live with compassion. Does anybody have any announcements today? Brief announcements, please, but if you have any, come on up.
Sorry, I was doing my ushering thing. 3 real quick announcements from membership. We have HALA Circle this Tuesday. I think the topic is finding your reality, something like that. Should be fun. Be here at 7 o'clock. We are going to see a play on Saturday the 4th. What's the title of it, Kelly? Don't Hug Me. Check with Kelly or Sarah for details. Or Terry. And another thing that's in your e-blast, we're doing another play on the 18th. Wait until dark. See me for details on it. Thanks.
And please be sure to check the e-blast, the magnet, your order of service for other announcements and details about what's coming up. Now, if you will please rise as you're willing and able for our first hymn, number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath, and we'll sing all 3 verses. Our reading today is by Greta Crosby. Let us not wish away winter. It is the season to itself, not simply the way to spring. When trees rest, growing no leaves, gathering no light, they let in sky and trace themselves delicately against sunsets and dawns. The clarity and brilliance of the winter sky delight. The loom of fog softens edges, lulls the eyes and ears of the quiet, awakens by risk the unquiet. A low, dark sky can snow, emblem of individuality, liberality, and aggregate power. Snow invites to contemplation and to sport. Winter is a table set with ice and starlight. Winter dark tends to warm light, fire and candle. Winter cold to hugs and cuddles. Winter want to gifts and sharing. Winter danger to visions, plans, and common endeavoring, and the zest of narrow escapes. Winter tedium to merrymaking. Let us therefore praise winter, rich in beauty, challenge, and pregnant negativities. We're happy to have Keisa Davis and Charmin Archer who co-founded the Heidelberg Arts Leadership Academy, the educational arm of the Detroit-based outdoor arts environment. The Heidelberg Project. Both have extensive backgrounds in education with over 20 years each of teaching and youth development. Please welcome Keisa and Charmin.
Good morning. My name is Keisa Davis. I'm the program director for HALA, Heidelberg Arts Leadership Academy. First off, we just want to say thank you for the warm invitation to come out and be a part of your service. It's been wonderful working with Jesse, and it's pretty novel to have a presentation during a service, so we love that. So let's get started. Our title is Fostering Safe Spaces, Art as Medicine, and we'll discuss a little bit more about what that really means. But let's just start with the Heidelberg Project. What is the Heidelberg Project? Show of hands, who's been possibly oh, wow, okay, that is awesome. Okay, so if you haven't already been, I'll just do the spill. If not, just bear with me. So the Heidelberg Project, it was started in 1986 by Detroit native and artist Tyree Guyton. He's a sculptor, he's an artist, he's very passionate about what he does, and he is at the site every day. That is like his outdoor studio, so you are always going to run into him there. This was pretty much an artistic response, an environmental response to disinvestment and blight that he saw in his neighborhood when he returned back from the Vietnam War. So this is his way of just calling attention creatively to how we can come together and solve a problem creatively. We've been around for 36 years. The nonprofit's about 25 years old now, and we welcome about 275,000 visitors every year from 140 countries. I mean, you just never know who you're going to meet there. And I believe we're third most visited site in Detroit. So DIA and Motown Museum are first and second, just to give you some context. So just some scenes from our art environment. This is some signage that Tyree created. And shoes. What are shoes doing up? This is like his signature, one of his signature symbols, shoes. It's kind of like a play on the metaphor of souls. So souls as in souls and souls as in shoes. And you know the metaphor of you can't judge a person unless you walk, in their shoes. So that's what he means by that. And you see shoes all over the environment. Also, the Dottie Waddy house is the family house of the Guytons. This is where he was literally born and raised with his 7 siblings and his grandparents. I believe his maternal grandparents. So, and he still has 2 sisters who live there. A few more scenes. This is a bird's eye view in the upper left-hand corner and just a snow scene. So time and clocks are another symbolic, imagery you're gonna see around the site. He's always talking about time and what are you gonna do with your time? Why is it important? What time is it? If you ever meet him, he'll probably ask you that. What time is it? And then faces. Humanity, that's another symbol of his, is really us connecting as one, and so that's why you also see the circle. So here's Tyree making a circle, again, talking about the common oneness of humanity. He's won over 28 awards locally, nationally, and internationally, so he's technically a doctor. He received a doctorate, an honorary doctorate from CCS, his alma mater, College of Creative Studies in Detroit. And a few years ago, Heidelberg Project was officially recognized by the city with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So that was a big deal because we've had a lot of up and downs with the city. So our mission as a nonprofit is simply to improve the lives of people and neighborhoods through art. It's a pretty broad mission. And our vision is a lot about community development. We believe that communities and people should be able to redevelop themselves and sustain themselves through the inside out, through culture, through art, and create an economic viable way of living. So our 4 core values are to educate, to provoke, to bridge, and to stimulate. And with education, we believe all people should have access to culturally relevant and experiential learning opportunities that create pathways for well-being and wellness. To provoke, so use our creativity to challenge society and really challenge the structures that maintain injustices. to serve as a bridge. So that's a bridge to our community, to the world, and to our global audiences, and to stimulate, lastly and most importantly, to empower individuals and communities to rise up against adversity and tap into their creative brilliance and their true creative selves. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do my little timer here. Okay. All right, so moving on. Art is medicine. Art is medicine. What is art is medicine? So if you know artists are philosophers too, right? So Tyree Guyton is a philosopher. Again, if you ever have a conversation with him, you will learn that pretty quickly. So this is a concept that he came up with, and it refers to healing minds by way of experiencing the HP environment. And so it's kind of like this catalyst to achieve all these different bullet points. So if you ever visit the site, you're just surrounded by rawness. It's just like, what, why, how? So it's just like, a lot of, some people call it clutter, some people call it assemblage, it's pretty much sculpture, it's a wonderland, and it's a refuge, but it provokes you to think. So most importantly, his way of defining art as medicine is a way to recycle and transform the mind and the human spirit. What does that mean? We throw away a lot of objects, right? So a lot of his art is repurposing and recycling objects to create something new. He believes you can do the same thing with spirit and with people. Also, setting a stage for conversation. You're obviously going to talk about things that you see in that art space with yourself or with others. So he wants to provoke conversation and thinking about who you are in the world, what time is it, and then building resilience through creative problem solving. So his way of solving a problem of disinvestment and blight was through art, and so he wants you to be inspired to do the same. A few more things we wanted to share is nurturing connections. So we have 2 new programs, our Ambassador in Residence program and our Curator in Residence program. So Ambassador in Residence is kind of like our Play in the Arts Artist in Residence program, but we instead wanted to use Ambassador because it's not just your traditional artist. You can be a gardener, you can be a landscape designer, you can be a dancer, musician, visual artist, but really you are representing the art site and bringing people into the fold and having conversations and setting up workshops. So that is for US-based creatives to come and do a 1-year residency with us and hold workshops and engage in creative practice at our HQ. And then our Curator in Residence program is designed to encourage curators to come in and set up an exhibit for 6 months with local Detroit artists, because it's hard in the art world to be a curator. So this is our way to support emerging curators. So moving on to Heidelberg Arts Leadership Academy, also known as HALA. So I'm a co-founder, so is Charmin, you'll hear from her in a second. And we're pretty much the educational arm, like Ms. Linda said. We offer free in-school and out-of-school programs with Detroit-based schools, so that's grades 4 through 12. And our goal is to give them the tools they need to be creative change agents in their community and to be able to think critically. And we do that through arts, culture, STEAM education, and social justice. So aren't they cute? So here are a few photos. That's from our one class. They were creating prints, so they learned how to create a print and create t-shirts. So that's like more so elementary school, older elementary school. In the bottom left-hand corner are our high school students who were taking a podcast class. So why HALA? Why did we create HALA? Well, first, to address 2 inequities that we witnessed here in Detroit. First is disinvestment in arts education in Detroit metro schools or Metro Detroit schools. Obviously, historically, Detroit has had a thriving music education program. That's how Motown came about. But obviously, a lot of changes happened. And so in 2017, you see this stat, nearly half of Detroit schools didn't have music education. So we were trying to just, support that gap and fill that void and do our part, what we could, in our surrounding school neighborhoods. And obviously, also with limitations to student interests with creative careers. We wanted to help stimulate that interest with our programming. Benefits of participating in HALA. Project-based learning is always fun, and so we have a focus on leadership with project-based learning. So they're creating something towards within an 8 to 10 week period. A creative outlet for students to express themselves and to learn about themselves, build creative problem-solving skills, team building skills and critical thinking skills. Why does something exist? Is this social issue exist? Introduction to career pathways and creative industries, and an understanding of social justice. What is social justice? We break that down in a lot of our courses, and how to be engaged as a citizen. So this is a dark stat, but we wanted to just paint the landscape of what's going on with our children and our teens. They're dealing with all the isms, so racism, sexism, classism. They're dealing with gun violence, and then obviously bullying, which happens, cyberbullying, and then in-person bullying. So this is what our youth are dealing with, right? So we wanted you to understand what this stat is about. This is a very American-centric situation, and our goal is to foster a safe space so that they have a refuge in our learning community. So this stat is from 2022. So fostering safe space for us is pretty much an extension of Tyree's philosophy of art as medicine. We're very intentional about our creative spaces where they're learning, and the way we do that is for them to create individually and as a team, to know the difference and, be empowered with both of those modes, exercise their imagination, and take creative risk. Sometimes they're scared to take risk, and there's a lot of reasons for that. There's anxiety for a lot of different reasons, so we are nurturing them to be bold and use their imagination, identify and express their emotions. That's pretty foundational, but it's really important. I struggle with that. How do I feel right now? And first, figure out how you feel and how you can change that, but we help them figure out what their emotions are and put that on a page, share their feelings, their perspective, their philosophy, and express that. Spotlight a social issue. What is that social issue called? A lot of times they know about injustices, but they don't know what it's called, so we help them with that. Be vulnerable. As an artist, you have to be vulnerable. I think actors know that the most. But in general, that is an artistic endeavor. And then be themselves, whatever that might be on that day. All right, so we're gonna dive real quick into our timeline. We started in 2018. So for the first 2 years, this is what we offered. And in 2018, we had 4 school partners that were all within the radius of the Heidelberg project. And by 2019, we doubled that. So we were very successful. Our school principals embraced us, and we still have great relationships with all of our school partners. This was our initial signature programming menu: Art Through Hip Hop, Arts Speak, a mural project, Rites of Passage, and that's like a play on rites of passage, so it's creative writing, Podcast 101, and entrepreneur empowerment. And the formats were 8 through 10 to 12 weeks, in school or after school, depending on what the principal said they needed. So after school is literally after the bell rings and they're dismissed, or in school we're partnering with a classroom teacher. Class size was 15 to 20 for after school, and obviously if it's during the school day, it depends on what the class size is. And the duration was an hour to an hour and a half. So, social enterprise lesson and paying it forward. These are some of our elementary school students from the entrepreneur empowerment class. We encourage them to learn how to give back, so tithing more or less. And they decided, what was really cool about this lesson is that they decided the percentage. So we explained to them what social enterprise means. So they decided if they're going to do 2% or 4% or 6%, that was the lesson. And then as a team, they decided which nonprofit they wanted to give to. So as youth, they decided to give to a family shelter that worked with children specifically. So we had 2 ambassadors who came with us and delivered the check. So that was a really fun experience. We also did that with our high schoolers. But I will say our elementary school students, they sold the most t-shirts and made the most money. A few more photos just so you can get a sense. Podcast class, close-up from the left-hand side, and our elementary school students doing a mural inside their school on the right-hand side. Mural project, upper left-hand corner is middle school students, and they focused on bullying as their social issue. And on the right-hand side are our high school students, and that's the mural that their team or their class did below. It's called the School to Power Pipeline, and it's a play on words for the school to prison pipeline. They wanted to just reword it. They didn't like how that sounded. They're like, that's depressing. And we're like, well, that's real. That's what's happening. But this is their way of empowering themselves. So they wanted to make sure that their school community knew that there were options to being in the pipeline. instead of being in the pipeline to being more empowered, make sure you talk to your counselor, make sure you talk to your friends and family, and make sure you exercise your voice. So that was their way of adding voice to the mural. So on the left-hand side are our rites of passage students, so that's creative writing. They're creating a zine in their class. That's elementary student on the side. And then we had culminating events where they shared their project with the school community, so that's a fun day. So that's what all that energy is about on the right-hand side. So I'm gonna pass it on to Charmin now.
Thank you, Keisa. That was a great foundation of just what we're all about. So I am Charmin. I'm also one of the co-founders, and I'll just pick it up right from here. By the end of 2019, we were in a really, really good place. We had 11 school partners. We had cultivated a relationship with 2 alternative schools, and we were also working in the Wayne County juvenile school system. At the same time, in 2019, during the summer, we as an organization moved into our HQ, which is an amazing 3-story building on the east side of Detroit, and it's just about 3 blocks from the art site. And so that was very exciting. We also had a group of facilitators who were teaching along with Keisa and I in schools, and we had planned for the summer 2020 to go on a study abroad program where we were bringing some of our teens to Ghana. So this is where we were kind of like 2019. And here are some more pictures of our wonderful students. That top picture is of them in a class called Art Through Hip Hop, another mural, and then the picture on the bottom right are some of the zines that our students made. And if you don't know, a zine is just a mini magazine. That's where it gets its name from. So, 2020. We all know 2020 was a doozy. It was a year. It shifted all of us on every level that we could ever think about. And whether you're thinking on an international level, whether it's a national level, state level, whether we're looking at our communities, our neighborhoods, our homes, our jobs, our personal lives, our interpersonal relationships, we all experienced a shift when 2020 happened. And HALA, as a program, also experienced a similar shift. And so one of the first things that happened in 2020 when the pandemic started is that schools shut down. And this was across the board. There was no in-person schooling at all, I think starting in probably April of 2020. And so with that, because all of our programming at the time was in schools, HALA's programming was done. And we were really in a place of just like, okay, what to do, and everybody was in this space. At the same time, we had cultivated this relationship with our 2 alternative schools. One was an all-boys group home, and one was an all-girls group home. And just to give you a little more detail about that, the girls were teens who were abused and neglected, and that's why they were living in this group home. And the boys had formerly been incarcerated, and this group home was kind of like their last chance. Either they were going to return to the prison industrial system, or they were going to return to community. So at the time, because we didn't have access to our students who were in school, we only had access and could cultivate a relationship with the 2 groups that were our alternative students. For us, it actually ended up being a blessing. These are groups that are already vulnerable, they're already isolated, so to be able to give them art and to interact with them, for us, it was really a special time, even in the midst of all of the negativity. So one of the first things we did, through a partnership with the Ann Arbor Arts Center, they donated about 40 art boxes, and one of the first things we did was we went right in and we distributed those art boxes to both the boys' facility and also the girls' facility. Another thing that we did was we started to invite them to our HQ, and it was really special because before that, we had this great youth space, but we did not have a chance to activate it yet. So those 2 schools were our first official students at our home base, which was really special as well. Another thing that, again, with the shifts and the pivoting, we looked at the courses that we had taught in the past. We loved them, they were amazing, but we realized this moment calls for something else. And so we took a lot of time to figure out what is it that our students need right now. And we realized, all right, they need community and connection. You're isolated. They need to be outside. So much of COVID was stay in your house and keep yourself safe. and they need a way to really let go and release emotions and feelings and their thoughts and perspectives. And so with that, we created 2 new courses that kind of met those needs. One is called Art in Motion. The motion part is because it was a place-based class based on field trips. We got them out every other week, and they also created art that pertained to the field trip we went on. And then, similar to everybody else, the pandemic kind of like nudged or forced or shoved you into the online space, whether you wanted to be there or not. And so it gave us an invitation to create our first online course, which is called Art as Activism. Another shift that happened in 2020 and 2021 is, as Keisa said, we had a group of facilitators who were working with us, very dear to us, did great work, but because of the downsizing and just the shift down, we also had to downsize and release those HALA facilitators, which was sad, and it's a goal that we're working to restore. So here are some pictures of our students at that time. The top picture is of them at a tree course. So this is in the Art in Motion class. The flower picture, we did a lesson on just like nature and how do you connect to nature? How do you feel when you're in nature? You know, what do you notice in nature? And then they had a chance to collect some nature objects and created these mobiles. And the other picture you see is of us distributing the art boxes. So after that landmark year, I don't really want to call it landmark, but I don't have another word for it. But after that 2020 year, what happened? So we've kind of been in a flow from 2021 until the present. And the first thing that happened is that we are back in schools, super excited about that. We also recognized, again, things are not the same. We cannot be the same. And so we took that virtual class, Art as Activism, and we taught it face-to-face with one of our school partners. And another thing we did that we just started this fall, 2022, is that we started to offer just a basic art class. You might have noticed that all the classes Keisa spoke about in the pictures, of course, art was infused, it was at the foundation, but those classes were all interdisciplinary, and we never just had like an art, drawing class, painting class. And so we were able to start that this fall. It was a great pivot for us, a great addition, and it's something that we want to continue to add to. Another shift, both Keisa and I are super passionate about career exposure and career pathways, and we intentionally decided to create some career pathway programming. I'll talk more about that later, but what's coming up for us is that in February, we're piloting a 4-week course that's all about designers and design careers. So it's 4 weeks, 4 workshops, 4 design professionals who will come in and present. And the goal with this is to give our students access to designers, give them a chance to even figure out what are some design creative fields that you can go into, and also to give them some hands-on activities to kind of like let a light bulb go off like, oh, hey, I do this all the time, but wait, there's a job there? Wait, I can make money there? And really giving them that exposure at an early age so that they continue to cultivate those skills and also those relationships. With that, we have some new partnerships that we're really happy about. One is with Lawrence Tech University, or LTU, and the other one is with AIGA of Detroit. And this is a blessing for us, not just in terms of the new class, because a lot of them will be our presenters, but also just in terms of kind of widening our reach and being able to expose all of our students to these really dynamic career, creative professionals. Another thing we saw for the first time in fall 2022 is we had our first youth art exhibit, really a lot of fun. We partnered with a local community garden, and we have our students' artwork displayed around the fence of that community garden, which has been a lot of fun. So far, we've talked about our school programming mostly outside of the 2020 year when we brought our alternative schools to our headquarters, but that kind of planted a seed, and it started us and gave us the opportunity to have a lot more programming at our HQ. And so I'm going to talk about 2 programs that we cherish dearly and are very dear to our heart. One is called Navigating Purpose. We love this program. We just met with our teens yesterday. Phenomenal. It is a career pathway program for 10th and 11th graders in Detroit. Pretty much they have 3 months of passion exploration. What are you good at? What are you interested in? What career pathways are there? We have a series of career panels that goes with that. and then they spend 4 months doing a paid internship. What I love about this program is that their internship is actually connected to what their interests are. So they're not just making coffee and making copies, they're actually getting this real-world experiences and getting paid for it, which we thought was very important as teenagers. So I think the pictures will tell a better story than my words. This is just our group from last year. And this slide, these pictures, at the top, this is one of our career panels. We had a series of 3. We had over 40 professionals come, people from plumbers to therapists to chefs to engineers, farmers, just anyone to give our students some exposure and some insight into careers they could possibly go into. The bottom left, I don't know if this gentleman looks familiar to you all, but this is Dobbles. He is the owner of the Embad Bead Museum in Detroit, and we had 7 of our students intern there. What was so just mind-blowing about this internship, and again, the students being able to work somewhere that actually connected to what they're interested in, Keisa and I did a site visit. We walk in and our students are building a laser printer. Whoa. Later, they end up coding and creating code for that laser printer to create these wooden blocks that ended up going on this greenhouse that you see. That greenhouse grows the plants that Dobbles gets his seeds from that end up being the beads that he sells and showcases in his museum. So when you talk about a cycle, a positive cycle, a sustainable circle, we really saw it with this internship. And that's another picture of our students visiting designers during their internship. Got to talk about these 2. So these are 2 more of our Navigating Purpose youth. That is Essence there. Essence has future goals of owning a bakery, and she also wants to be a realtor. So she actually split her internship. Half of it was at Rose's Fine Foods on the east side of Detroit, and the other half of it she worked at a realty office. And the young man on the right is Elijah. His future goal is he wants to have a cafe that's also creative space. And similar to Essence, he split his internship. Half of it was at Rose's Fine Foods, and the other half was at Spotlight, which of course gave him a lot of experience with event planning and community engagement in a creative space. The other program that is really, really dear to our hearts that we do at our HQ is our summer camp. We love our summer camp. This will be our 3rd year this summer. This is for our little people, 4th through 6th grade, and sometimes we stretch it. If there's a younger brother or sister or an older brother or sister, we will allow it. And it's phenomenal. The themes are art, environment, and nature. And it really, really, really gives our students a chance to not just connect and be in nature, but also to learn and to engage with people in the community who are doing great and super impactful environmental work. So I'm going to show you some pictures. These are some of our campers on a field trip. Each day we have a different theme. So one of our themes was composting. We literally spent the whole day learning about composting. So on the right, that's them kind of doing like a sorting activity to figure out what to compost and what is compostable. And on the left, it's them actually having that hands-on experience, putting their hands in there of composting. On the right, you will see they're still composting. But I want to show you this gentleman here. We were really lucky this summer because our heirs, our ambassadors and residents, all 3 of them ended up being a part of our summer program. So this is one of them. His name is Mr. Hoshia Love. He is a permaculturalist, and so he kind of took the lead on showing them 3 different ways to compost and really giving them the wisdom that comes with his years and his age, but also sharing his expertise. Our little guy on the top left, that's him enjoying a s'more that he made using a solar oven that they created. This was a day we talked about sustainable energy. These are some of our students on a field trip. They're cutting up balsam, and they ended up making a balsam healing oil that honestly I use all the time, and the smell is delicious and yummy. And then this is a picture of our zine. So every summer our campers, they collaborate and they create a zine that has original writing and also original artwork in it. So these are the campers from that first year. And we also have a song. So last year, we brought in a presenter named Audra Kabat, and she ended up doing a song workshop with our campers, and they wrote a song, and then they sang and performed a song. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, but we're going to give you a little snippet of it. And if the audio doesn't work, I'll sing it. Well, sure. He's helping me out. We can also circle back to na 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 ban dun dun. It's not. Well, we can circle back at the end. Is that okay? It's called Summertime in the City, and they literally just were in that nature environment. They actually were here, outside, and they used nature and the sounds that they heard and the images that they saw to inspire them and the lyrics that you're gonna hear in a minute. And it was really fun. It was a lot of fun. It was our first time doing this song workshop, but it was a lot of fun, and it's something we probably will continue for other summers.
Pine cone shaking, light blue sky, black and purple flowers, sunlight through the trees. Oh yeah, 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 oh yeah. Saplings growing,
Thank you. I played it for my son last night. He's like, Mom, you can't play the whole song. That's too, you can't do it. So we're cutting it short. If you want to hear the whole song, it is on our website, so feel free to take a listen. So we as an organization, HALA, Heidelberg Arts Leadership Academy, we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and it is fun, it's exciting, but it also gives us an opportunity to really take stock. What have we done? What impact have we made? So here are some numbers that just kind of relate to the work we've been doing for the last 5 years. I won't go through everything. I do want to note the first one, which is the most important, the students that we work with. We worked with close to 500 students at this point, and that's what we're most proud of. We're most proud of the connections we have with the principals in the schools, the teachers, and also community members. On that same note, the next two bullets, the 35 and the 30, one of the things that we think makes HALA so important and so impactful, to use that word again, is our community connections. And so we're always bringing in guest speakers, guest presenters, panelists, just anything that will show our students that they're a part of something bigger and that right there in their community, they have access to so many of the resources that are actually making a difference and doing the good work in our community. In terms of tangible things that we've done in the last 5 years, our students have created 10 zines, and this is across our different programming, and we've also installed 7 murals. I think you saw most of them in the slideshow, as well as they have produced and created 3 different podcasts, and that's for our high school students. So those are all the numbers. That's fine and dandy, but the important thing is, what do the people we work with and we work for have to say about our programs? And so we have assessments that we do all the time. We always want to have our finger on what is important, what do our stakeholders need, and those assessments and those surveys give us a lot of feedback. And what we found is that 90% of our students said that they would recommend HALA to a friend. That says a lot for young people. 100% of the school staff we worked with said yes, that they saw HALA as a value to their school environment. And then when we looked at our stakeholders across the board, some of the strengths they noted were that there was an increase in student self-confidence, there was an increase in student awareness and of community issues, the students were more interested in art, they were more confident, better to express themselves, they had a lot of enthusiasm for the courses that we taught, and they also saw a shift in the relationships and that students were bonding a lot more closely because of being in our courses. So with that being said, again, with 5 years, we know we've done a lot, but we also have a long way to go and a lot of goals that we still want to accomplish. So I just want to share some of our short and ongoing goals. One of them is transportation. It's huge, and we saw this especially after the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we always went to schools. We have our summer program and we have our career program at our HQ, but we never found a way to get our school-aged kids to our HQ. And we realized that the lack of transportation was a huge barrier to a sustainable program at our HQ. So with that being said, one of our goals is to acquire a 15 to 24-seater van that can transport our students from their schools to our HQ and then back home safely. Another one of our goals is technology. Gratefully, we have about 15 laptops. We're super grateful for that. They were donated to us, but about half of them work. Because the other half don't have whatever the operating system is, I don't know. We're not IT people. So that is definitely a need that we have, is some IT support. And just another thing connected to that is a laptop charging station. And our last ongoing goal is, remember, summer 2020, we had that study abroad program scheduled. We were ready to go to Ghana, and all of that was derailed. Both Keisa and I travel extensively. We've studied abroad, and we know the value of cross-cultural experiences in another country. And so we want to just keep this at the forefront of our minds and of our goals, because we know it brings so much value to youth. So again, we are in our 5th year. We are celebrating all year. We're taking stock. We're looking at what we've done. And really what the 5-year anniversary means to us is that it makes us want to go even harder for our mission and for our students and for the communities that we work with. And we're even more committed to our mission and the work that we've done. With that being said, I just want to take this opportunity also to thank all of our generous sponsors and supporters throughout these last 5 years. Without them, there's no way that HALA would be here. And in particular, there's no way we could have offered free in-school, after-school, and out-of-school programming if it wasn't for the support of the community. So we say thank you. So as we get ready to close, we hope that this connection continues. And so I want to share some ways that you can connect with HALA or the Heidelberg Project, and also some ways to support. So the first one is following our newsletter. We have a HALA newsletter that comes out 3 times a year. If you're interested, you can just email Keisa or I, and we'll put you on the list. Another opportunity is that you can sponsor a summer day camper. We try to keep the price low. It's $65, and again, we've been blessed the last 2 years that almost all of our campers who needed scholarships and full funding, they got it. Another way to support is by sponsoring one of our high school interns through our Navigating Purpose program. You can make a donation straight on our website. You can also just visit the Heidelberg Project. It's free, it's open, it's there. As long as it's daylight hours, you are welcome any day of the week. So that's another way to connect. If you really have a passion for art and sharing, we are always looking for docents for the Heidelberg Project. If you're interested, just look on our website. There's a sheet there that you can fill out if you're interested. We are on all social media platforms, so feel free to follow us, Heidelberg Project, on any of those. And we have a really, really phenomenal, unique, one-of-a-kind gift shop that's called the Dot Shop. And here you're going to find some just amazing art pieces that are one-of-a-kind, all inspired by the Heidelberg Project. Another way is to schedule a tour. Maybe you want to do it as a church, maybe you as a family, individual, but just know those options are all there on our website. So with that being said, we want to thank you again for this opportunity. It is always amazing when we have a chance to share the work that we're doing, and we thank you for inviting us into your service today, and hopefully this will be just the beginning of a relationship that lasts a lot longer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Keisa and Charmin. Oh, and on the back of your order of service, I wanted to say something. So Charmin talked about how you can connect on their website, but there's also a QR code that you can just scan and go right to their webpage if you want more information. As we take the offering, we acknowledge the generosity and intention to support and build this welcoming community. Today, if you're visiting us, and how you heard about us, we'd love to meet you.
Hi, my name's Holly. It's my first time here. I'm from White Lake. Just looking for some community, so I'm here.
Welcome, Holly. Thank you.
Good morning, my name's Tyler, live in Farmington. The wife and I, the youngest son, Don, he was here, but he was feisty. Yeah, similar, looking for community, we found your website, and I think our approach to life aligns well with your church. We wanted to check it out, and thank you for putting up with the kids.
Good morning. Okay. Thank you for introducing yourselves, and thank you for being here today. A perfect heart is one that has known love, loss,
that we do periodically. And today's award goes to Jesse Sanchez. Jessie is the chairperson of the Sunday Services Committee, as you all know, probably. Thank you, Jessie. She is so inspiring and encouraging as the chair to the rest of the committee members. She always has a sense of positivity and creativity, and she has expanded us beyond our box to look for awesome speakers from outside of the typical, like today's speakers. So bravo and kudos, thank you. She holds herself to a high bar, and she has brought our committee and our congregation, I think, up to a higher bar than we have held for ourselves. She does beautiful graphics that you've seen to highlight the services and also the events that are happening throughout the month. She's a treasure, and we are so grateful to have her here.
I'll just say a quick thank you. That was unexpected, and I'm like, oh God, keep it together, keep it together. Thank you so much. It's a lot of work, but it's been really enjoyable, like just thinking outside the box and finding interesting things, people I think you folks would find interesting, and that'll broaden our horizons, but also what can we do to help other organizations in the community and everything like that. So, yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It has never been so easy to be a service leader either since Jessie has been here. So she gives us everything. It really is. Okay, for our second hymn, it's number 134, Our World is One World. Please rise as you're willing and able, and we will sing all 4 verses. Our closing words are by W.E.B. Du Bois. Now is the accepted time, not tomorrow, not some more convenient season. It is today that our best work can be done, and not some future day or future year. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are the hours of work, and tomorrow comes the harvest and the playtime.
Feeling good, like a
not going to be here in February. I was thinking I was going to see you this year. I'm glad you came. That was a nice try, because I kind of got it wrong.
Jamie, I can just leave this here?